everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Tigers Weekly, Remembering the Bird. I'm Mickey York, coming to you from Tiger Stadium and the epicenter of that magical summer in 1976. Over the next half hour, we will relive some of those special memories. We'll hear how the Bird handled instant fame and coped with a career cut way too short. We'll also share some unique stories from some of those that covered him on a daily basis. And Tiger fans will share some of their favorite memories of the Bird. But we begin on a warm June 28th night, right here at the corner of Michigan and Trumbull, when, like all of us, the rest of the nation fell in love with the Bird.
Good evening. I'm Mark Fidrych from Northborough, Massachusetts, and a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers.
And on a Monday night in front of a national television audience against the venerable New York Yankees, the rest of the baseball world came to learn what Detroit already knew. In the summer of 1976, the Bird was the word.
He is some kind of unbelievable. This kid is terrific.
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the Bird. Bird, bird, bird. The Bird's the winner.
He came from nowhere and was suddenly everywhere. The gangly 21-year-old with curly locks and oddball antics that would have been corny if they weren't so uniquely him.
No one ever pitched games like he did. No one had the fan following that he did. And so I'm trying to visualize sometimes when he's in the game and you have 50,000 people saying your name from first inning to the last inning, you can't comprehend that.
That 1 year, oh man, I mean, he had 24 complete games, 11 shutouts. 2 or 3 games, he pitched 10, 11 innings. I mean, the innings he pitched, I mean, it's unbelievable. I don't think that ever will be done again.
And everybody had to have a piece of him. From the biggest of birds to the chairman of the board, Fidrych was the first athlete to appear on the cover of Rolling Stone. He was a rock star, performing sold-out shows wherever he went.
It was so loud, you're thinking, when the fans going to quit? They never quit. I know even when we hit, it was the same volume of people yelling.
You know, people just start coming out the dugout and they think it's a Bird, the heart go crazy. And what made it so beautiful about that, he would go and sit on top of the dugout with them. I mean, that's the type of guy he was.
By definition, a phenom is a remarkable or outstanding person. On a mediocre 74-87 team, whenever Fidrych pitched, the Tigers believed they were phenomenal.
I hurt my ankle. Been in ice all the game, and he hooked up with Gaylord Perry. And fifth inning, come in the training room, he said, "You got to get ready." I said, "What you mean get ready?" He said, "I ain't getting up no more runs." And Gaylord is throwing good today, and we don't go right down to the end with that. So I didn't pay no attention. I said, "Mark, I can't play. I can't hit." He said, "Just get ready." So he come back in the 7th inning. He said, "You getting ready?" Start getting up. So I started getting my frame of mind. I said, "Oh man," he made me believe something that I didn't think I could do it. And I finally got up. He came back in the 9th. He went out there and I hit a walk-off home run to win the game for him. I mean, that's the type of inner strength he gives me as a ball player.
He did and accomplished more in 1 year than most players do in a career. But as quickly as it came, it went too fast, too soon.
He did a lot.
He's a good man. He really was. He was honest, true-hearted, very good people.
Because of him, that summer of 76 endures, even if its Bird is now gone, too fast, too soon. Fidrych's impact at Tiger Stadium was undeniable. The average attendance in the 18 games that the Bird started was well over 33,000. On nights when the Bird was cooped up, the average attendance was less than 16,000. The Fidrych factor helped the Tigers increase their season-long average attendance by more than 4,000 people.
The Bird limped north this season, and now Detroit has a reason to come out and cheer. Come and cheer, come and cheer. Bird, it's great to have you here. So when you get the call, Bird, keep on talking to the ball.
He stayed in an apartment about probably 3 blocks from where I lived, and every night that he pitched, there would be 200-300 people waiting for him to get home, and it was incredible what he created here in Detroit.
In 1976, the Tigers were coming off consecutive last-place finishes, which included a 102-loss season in 1975. It was a team in desperate need of a spark. That it would come from an unassuming kid from Massachusetts released an unbridled enthusiasm that can still be felt at this famous corner. Fidrych recounted his colorful career in an interview conducted back in 2001.
Mark Fidrych's Major League Baseball career may have been cut short, but he made the most of every pitch.
I had a great career. You're right. I call it a career. Some people call it a year. You know? But my career is still going on today. Why? Because of writers, fans. That's why. People say, what's it like standing on the mound? There's 40,000 people. What's it like? There's no word in the English language that could describe it. You'd have to be out there yourself just to stand there and hear the roar.
The roar was so deafening that even 25 years after his rookie season, Fidrych could still hear the support and relive the emotion associated with it. As word of the Birds spread throughout baseball, capacity crowds flocked to ballparks to see him pitch. Once, the start of a road game was delayed so fans stuck in traffic wouldn't miss his start. The humble rookie embraced every moment of the hysteria.
I was aware of it like you read about, because Tommy Verizon and Vern Rule would make me aware of it. You know, Tommy would go, boy, it's unbelievable. They came all to see you. I said, no, they came to see us play. Now be quiet.
Fans were drawn to Fidrych's presence on the mound, from his domination of opposing batters to his quirky antics between pitches. Yet all along, the kid out of Boston was just being himself.
A lot of people ask about the antics. It was like, did you just start that? No, I did that in Little League. My father taught me to fill a hole up in front of the rubber, because he did concrete work and all. He says, make your own hole, that way your own thing is going. I always talk to myself, I never thought anything of it until the writers started writing about it, and then it became a big thing. A real big thing.
Then, almost as quickly as Fidrych burst upon the scene, he encountered a series of bad breaks. During spring training in 1977, the All-Star suffered a knee injury. 6 weeks after his return, he felt his arm go dead during a game against the Orioles. 8 years later, Fidrych would learn he had actually torn his rotator cuff.
When you got to throw in pain, it's tough. It'll come around, don't worry.
The buzz about the Birds' numerous comeback attempts permeated throughout baseball.
Nice to meet you. My pleasure. Nice to meet you.
My father talks about you all the time.
There you go, yeah.
Really coming back?
Well, I'm going to try.
Despite his exhaustive efforts, Mark the Bird Fidrych was forced to call it quits at age 29. Yet when reflecting upon his short baseball career, Fidrych wasn't bitter. Instead, he chose to relish the impact he had on the game he loved and the connection he made with its fans.
I'll never stop following the game. The game will always be in me for the rest of my life, for the rest of my daughter's life, and my wife's life. Because, I mean, it was an error in my thing that I'm still lucky that people want to know what Mark Fidrych is doing. I tell you, I always cherish the fans, because the fan, without the fan, you don't have a baseball game. This is neat. I remember watching Big Bird with my little sister. You know, this is awesome. To me, meeting that guy, seeing him, it was awesome to say, you know, I have actually met the original Big Bird. And I had a blast in the field with him.
And here is that infamous Sports Illustrated with Big Bird. You know, part of what endeared us to Fidrych was his colorful personality, and yes, he did some weird things on the mound and was uniquely accessible to fans and media alike, but none of that would have mattered much if he also wasn't a heck of a pitcher. Matt Shepard reminds us of just how good he was from those that saw him most.
On the mound is this young man by the name of Mark Fidrych.
His impact was immense, even though his stay was short.
Pictures can tell most everything about Euchre, but there's a lot about him that we maybe don't understand.
And his personality was contagious, though misunderstood.
One of the funniest guys I've seen come along in baseball in a long time.
When an unexpected Mark Fidrych burst onto the baseball scene in 1976, he took Detroit and the major leagues by storm.
It truly was a happening. I mean, it was so spontaneous. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't rehearsed, it wasn't planned. He wasn't even on the roster in spring training, and he went from being a nobody that nobody had ever heard of, nobody cared about, to suddenly he was the toast and the talk of the town, and he was, you know, the most popular sports celebrity that summer in America.
He reached out to everybody, and everybody reached back. Mark Fidrych made the place absolutely packed every single game, and that's the definition of a superstar. And Detroit and Tiger Stadium was a fun place to be.
After 68, 71, okay, but there were some lean years, and they needed a Mark Fidrych. I don't think anybody ever did what he did, and nobody captured a town like him.
For a time, during that 76 season, Fidrych was the Detroit Tigers. Like Ty Cobb in the early 1900s and Al Kaline in the 60s and 70s, not of Hall of Fame play, but in popularity.
I don't think there's ever been another player, not only on the Tiger organization, but in all of baseball, who's had the impact for 1 year that Mark Fidrych had in 1976.
He was one of the most charismatic youngsters to ever come into this game. He was unique, he was special, he loved life, he lived it well as far as he pleased people, and he pleased the opposition.
That may have been, but the opposition knew that despite Fidrych's less than conventional antics on the mound, he was a pitcher and a fierce competitor.
In July that year, the Oakland A's were in town, and it was a game in which he pitched an 11-inning shutout and won the game 1-0. But during that game, Claudell Washington, who was a good hitter in his day, got into the box and then stepped out and tried to slow the bird down. And he finally stepped back in, and the next pitch was right at his knees.
He pitched one of the greatest games I've ever seen pitched. It was against the Yankees. And it was a nationally televised game, and the Yankees had zero chance.
Fidrych feels his position well and throws out Randolph by 45 feet.
So besides being the personality that he was also very good out on that bump.
He'd be out there pitching a 9-inning game, and he'd pitch it in an hour 53 or 2 hours and 4 minutes. I mean, everything he threw was over the plate, and it was at the hitter's knees.
An all-star who led the majors in complete games that summer and led the American League in ERA, but saw himself as no different as the people who packed stadiums to watch him play.
People just wanted to be around him, to see him pitch and see the things he did, and see the reaction from fans of all ages. I think that's the other thing about Mark. The fans of all ages loved him.
He uttered the famous quote, "I'm just a human being that my mom and dad made." And you think it's simple, but that was him.
Mark Fidrych started 56 games in his major league career. One man was in the press box for all of them, Ernie Harwell. The Tigers Hall of Fame broadcaster will always remember the influence Fidrych had on his teammates.
With Tiger players, Fidrych was top. They loved him, just as the fans loved him. Mark was flaky. He talked to the ball, jumped in the air, went around the diamond shaking hands with his teammates, but he also produced, and the Tiger players admired him. They quickly accepted him. He gave his teammates credit for his success, and they appreciated his thoughtfulness and his generosity. He was a one-year sensation. He hurt his knee in spring training of 1977, then got arm injuries, and never was able to reach those heights again. He tried as much as anybody ever tried. Therapy, operations, rehabilitation, all of it. The Tigers finally gave up on him and released him after the 1981 season. The Red Sox signed him the next February, but he never again recaptured his glory. The greatest quality that Mark Fidrych showed was this: up or down, on top or on the bottom, he was still the same great, enthusiastic kid.
2, yeah, got him, ball game! Thank you, old friend.
Nobody will forget when Todd Jones threw the final pitch at Tiger Stadium, a performance that helped the Tigers leave Michigan in trouble with an 8-2 win over Kansas City. But a special appearance by the Bird capped off a memorable ceremony and helped earn this week's Toyota of Waterford Play of the Week.
The whole activity that went on today, a win today, which makes everything even better. But to just run out there and the people were screaming, to me it was like flashbacks, like you've never felt before in a long time. And right now, it's like my feet aren't touching the ground when I'm walking. Just to look around, it was like I was playing baseball all over again. But it all has to come to an end now. Now I got to go home. I got my piece of dirt from the mound.
A piece? You got a whole bag full?
Well, I got a bag full. You know why? Because I'm going to make little things up for different people that I know that have been involved with me and stuff, and I'm just going to give it to them.
In 1976, this place was packed every time Fidrych took the mound. These were literally the hottest seats in town. Fidrych had a connection with fans that might never be duplicated. Justin White has more on a unique and intimate relationship.
In the summer of 1976, Mark Fidrych was almost as popular as disco and bell-bottoms. Fans flocked to see the Bird spread his wings.
When the Bird was going to pitch, you were either at the game or in front of a television set, and it just inspired everybody.
And not only fans in the Motor City. Bird watching became appointment viewing. Opposing teams asked the Tigers to change their rotation so Fidrych could pitch in their ballparks. That season, the Tigers averaged 18,000 more fans for his starts.
The crowd just on their feet, screaming for, go, Mark, go. And, when he wasn't on the field, they constantly cheered to bring him out of the dugout until he came out and waved his hat at the, at the crowd.
Everybody went nuts. We all went nuts at home too. He was great. He was a legend.
Fun was the word when the Bird was on the mound. Even if the Tigers weren't winning, and chances are they were if he was pitching, fans couldn't get enough of Fidrych's wacky ways.
He brought a lot of enthusiasm to the game. Talking to the ball.
Patting the mound.
It was hilarious.
But Fidrych's dominance on the mound was no laughing matter for opposing hitters. His first major league start was a complete game two-hitter against the Indians. From there, the Bird took flight, winning Rookie of the Year honors and finishing second in Cy Young voting.
He really fooled all the batters, and of course he was in the All-Star game. His career was much too short.
He was a great pitcher and a great ball player.
His antics and his awesome pitching turned Fidrych into a rock star, but he never forgot where he came from, and those who met the Bird embraced him for his character as much as they did for the kind of character he was.
I went to Tiger Fantasy Camp in Lakeland, and he was my coach for a week. And we went out to dinner and had a few drinks together, and he told me his whole life story. He was one of the nicest people I ever met.
He was an average guy that enjoyed the game of baseball. He was genuine, sincere, and there isn't anything like him today.
And with that, we're just about out of time. Thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of Tigers Weekly, Remembering the Bird. Before we go, we'd like to leave you with one more tribute to the man that we will know and love forever, Mark the Bird Fidrych.
But here's your pitch. Ground ball should be the ball game. It's over.
My career is still going on today. And you know why? Writers, fans, that's why.